Hi everybody, it's Chris here from SME Centre of Excellence. Today we're going to carry on with this series and we're going to talk about customer relationships. Now I've been asked recently about the order that perhaps you could do the business canvas model. My view is that there's not particularly straightforward which way you could do it or should do it. But I tend to like to start with customer segments, then value proposition, then channels, then customer relationships, key activities, and so on and so forth. That's just my preference. You can do it any which way that you feel comfortable. The reason I do it this way is that the value proposition builds on the customer segments that I believe we discuss, and then the channels kind of feed that, and then the customer relationships are all around the original three sections. However, I know of people that do it completely differently, and like I say, there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it. So today, customer relationships. I just want to have a talk to you about this section today and recognise that not every business engages with its customers in the same way. Some businesses are looking for loyalty, while others are looking for temporary, transactional, quick responses, get the money, deliver the order, next order. Some sales require an appointment or a face-to-face conversation, where others are purely electronic. And some brands are cheeky and playful, some are proud and formal, whereas others are completely plain and nonplussed. So really, this is about trying to get the tone right, trying to get the kind of approach right. None of these approaches are right or wrong, but they do need to match the customer and value proposition. So, for example, you wouldn't be walking down the street, come across a vending machine, and buy a pair of designer shoes. It's just not congruent. It's just not kind of normal. Usually, you'd walk into a store, you'd usually see a person, you'd deal with somebody, you'd try the shoes on, you'd have a walk around in them, etc., etc. Equally, you wouldn't expect to have a long and complex application process when you're looking to buy fish and chips or a burger. You just want to go in. It's a transactional approach. You just want to get your food and go out and eat it for a reason. So that's why we need to be clear on the type of relationship the business intends or needs to have with the customers. There are three spectrums that can help us visualize our preferred relationship. So is it a short-term or long-term relationship? Some relationships are short and sharp, which can be great. Others take more time, and some even go for decades. I'm sure that some of you out there will have perhaps even got a relationship with an organization that's lasted decades. For example, if you think of a doctor, and in these moving times, years ago they used to have a family doctor. I mean, gosh, I'm going back 40 years now, but used to have a family doctor, and when you went to the GP, that's the doctor that you saw. Moreover, now when you go to a GP surgery, it's all because it's all automated and computerized. You can see any doctor; they can have access to all of your notes, and you can take it forward that way. And really, so it just depends on the kind of experience that you're looking for. They're both great, but they fit a very different value proposition. So if I'm an older generation, I might opt for the family doctor. I've known him for 35 years, 40 years, versus younger people perhaps may. Certainly my son is going online now to get AI kind of doctors, GPs, things done. I mean, it's all alien to me, but that's just the way that he likes to do it. It'll be because he's busy, he hasn't got time, he lives away, versus me, who likes the personal touch. I'm static. I live in my own house. I don't travel a lot. I can usually wait if I need to go to see the GP. So just know if it's a long term or a short term transactional or face-to-face conversation that you're looking for. We all need to understand our customers in order to make that happen. Hence why I tend to wait about the customer relationships until after I've done the customer segments and the value proposition. The next part, I suppose, is it a personal or automated relationship? For those of you who have had Spotify, I don't know if you have met anybody from Spotify. I certainly haven't. It's a very transactional thing that I do. I've never kind of heard anybody that buys a house from somebody they didn't like. Granted, that's a little bit of a wacky example, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Some customers need personal interaction. Maybe it's to answer their questions, to ease their anxieties, or to help them talk themselves into a purchase. I'm thinking about mobile phones or shoes, things like that. Even then, some customers are hoping that they'll engage with the same person every time and create a relationship that way. Each of these has their benefits and their shortfalls, with many businesses opting for a combination of the two. Certainly, that's my preference. I don't mind buying things online, but actually, if it goes wrong or if I need some questions answered, I like to feel that there's somebody behind there that can do that for me. And the third one is, are we focusing on acquiring customers or retaining customers? And whilst it's true that every business needs to acquire and retain customers, most are reliant upon one or the other. So think about it like this. See, when you have your bank account, I mean, how many times do you change your bank account? Not many. And because change is quite challenging, banks are incentivizing us at the moment to change to another bank account. It's just a complete pain for most people. So in this model, what you find is that banks will go all out to get customers, but once they have your custom, you'll rarely hear from them. You might get the odd email. I have several insurance policies over a various number of things. They fight tooth and nail to get me as a customer, but once I am a customer, I rarely hear from them. I probably get 2 calls a year. These businesses are acquisition-focused businesses. They spend lots of time and energy acquiring your customers. Acquiring your custom. However, if you think about Amazon, Amazon spend, depends where you look, but somewhere in the region of between $7 and $11 billion per year on advertising, on acquiring customers. It's a massive focus area for them, and they're really good at the automation part of it. They spend a lot of money trying to acquire customers, and their model is very automated rather than a very personal approach. The next thing I suppose I want to concentrate on is the different types of customer relationships, and I appreciate that you're probably sick of hearing my voice now, but I want to go through these and I'll try and relate it to our customer relationship model on this made up organization we have. So the first one is transactional. There's no real relationship between the customer and the company. The company usually interacts with the customer on a transactional basis, at a vending machine, in an airport, a Mars bar, or a cup of coffee or whatever. That's usually the kind of transactional thing that happens. Again, talked earlier about kind of walking into a chip shop. It's just a real transaction, kind of, here's my order, here's your money, out the door. Long term means looking at deep relationships with your customers and trying to understand how you can get them to repeatedly come back time after time after time. I can recall reading a book from Tony Hsieh, who took his organization from something like $1 million to $10 million turnover, and his metrics from the top of my head was something like 75% of the customers were returning customers. So that's an amazing statistic, and something that, if that's your kind of customer relationship model, that's something you should be aiming for. Personal assistance is the next one. This is where you have human interaction. So think about things like, I don't know, walking into a shop, buying a pair of shoes, or buying a mobile phone, or perhaps a car. I don't buy cars on the internet. I don't know anybody that does, but I'm sure people do. you may perhaps reserve a car to look at on the internet, but ultimately you're going to go and have a talk with a salesperson about this vehicle or this phone or this whatever it is that you're trying to buy. It's important. It's costly. It's more costly. But for some people, it's really important that they talk to a human, and that after the purchase is made, they have somebody or a point of reference that they can talk to, whether it's that person or perhaps it may be somebody in a call center that they can have a talk to. The dedicated personal assistance is really just an elongated or enhanced version of a personal assistance model, and fundamentally a dedicated personal assistance model is somewhere where you have an account manager who he or she is responsible for your account. So you might buy online if you're an organization. For example, we have a refuse organization that takes care of our waste. We don't have a lot to do with them, but we have a dedicated account manager who is there for us should we need that. Self-service is the type of relationship where there is no direct relation, and another one where there is no direct relationship with the customer. It provides all of the necessary means for the customer to help themselves. And interestingly, if you look at, I'm going to pick on somebody like Costa Coffee. I enjoy coffee, and years ago, years ago, you never really seen anybody drinking coffee on the way to work. But now you can go past a garage or a petrol station and you can get Costa Coffee there from a machine. There is no personal assistance. There is no dedicated personal assistance. It is a very transactional approach. You can still use your points now, which is great, and it helps. I certainly feel like I'm gaining something again. But self-service is that kind of process. Do you want your customer to just automatically go to somewhere and serve themselves, and to kind of keeps the cost lower for the organization? Communities. So increasingly, companies are utilizing user communities to become more involved with customers or prospects and to facilitate the connections between community members. Many companies maintain online communities that allow users to exchange knowledge and solve each other's problems. I suppose, I've got a little bit of a background in software development, and I see that quite a lot there. I see that quite a lot in other areas online where companies encourage their customers to chat amongst themselves and kind of self-support that way. It's a great model. The cost can be quite prohibitive to set up, but once it's set up and running, customers often will react pretty good to that. And co-creation, here's another one. So more companies are going beyond the traditional customer-vendor relationship to create a co-creating value with customers. Amazon invites customers to write reviews and thus create value for other book lovers. I certainly have done this in the past. It's not something I do lots and lots, but I am an avid reader of books, and where possible I will try to leave a review, and I suppose it just keeps the brand in the customer's forefront at all times. So that's a little bit of the kind of the talking part about the actual technical bit of it. For our model here, our healthy food model, we kind of broke it down into get, keep, and grow. So in order to get our customers, we're going to use social media and partnership advertising. We're going to have a simple onboarding experience, and we're going to have group challenges. Now, this all came from this here. So we had a look, and this is why I like to use it this way. So once I'm comfortable with more or less with the kind of customer type that I'm looking at, this helps me inform the customer relationship get part of it. For example, if the niche market was 80 years plus, it's unlikely that, not exclusively, but it's unlikely that I'm going to use social media in order to appeal, approach, and get customers. The keep part of it, so this part here, is about how we maintain our relationships with our customers. And we're going to look at reward programs. I've already talked about Costa Coffee or Tesco or Morrison's. All of these organizations have reward programs. We're also going to look at group challenges, and we're going to look at one-to-one support sessions with a nutritionist. And all of this activity behind it is just purely to keep our customers. So we're looking for, at the bottom here, we're looking for a personal assistance model with an automation kind of flavor through retention. So we want to get customers and retain them, and maximize our income that way. We've also got a growth thing going on here. So we're going to offer a referral reward system. We're going to create a community online, and we're going to have a variation of meal programs with geographic expansion. So appreciate that's a lot of talking. Hope it's been helpful. Your customer relationships is really, really important, guys. It's really how you're going to look to attract, acquire, and keep your customers. Because if you can't get customers, you're really going to struggle in your business. Depending upon the kind of whether you want a long-term approach here, or whether you just want a real quick transactional approach here, is down to your business. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is look at key activities, and so stay tuned. We'll have this up as soon as we can, and look forward to delivering that to you.